Hello.
Hello, hello. I mean, there's so much differing advice out there, and these names like pre-workout and gels to take mid-workout. It can be a bit overwhelming when you're new to all this. What's the best approach, do you reckon?
Well, it doesn't have to be exactly the same for everyone. And I totally hear you with this confusion. And we have this in the nutrition world anyway. And it really is about having a balance and variety of foods. What we might be doing when we're training, it might look a bit different to when we're not training, but there's so many things we can be building into our life that will be fantastic for our training that we'll also want to keep for normal life as well. So what we know is that most people aren't getting enough fruits and vegetables, for example, and enough plant-based whole foods, and are quite deficient in fiber, which feed our good gut bacteria, lower inflammation. If people can be getting in half a cup to a cup of berries every day, for example, that can actually lower their recovery time. And most people are not doing this. And a lot of people head straight to protein, and protein's very important. We can talk more about that. But getting that balance of really great complex carbohydrates, lots of fruit and veggies, that handful of nuts and seeds every day, as well as, the protein side of things, are so, so important. And like I said, taking that into every day anyway.
Okay, let's start with carbs, because you hear about carb loading, don't you, when people are training for long runs and stuff. You mentioned complex carbs. So what are those, and when should we be eating them? How do they support our training?
So complex carbohydrates are fantastic for our body. That's how our body uses energy, and our brain. And you're going to find these in potatoes, whole grains, oats, and they break down into more simple sugars into your glucose, which your body actually uses. So something like oats, for example, they're fantastic for any day. And there's all sorts of things you can do to add to those. You can add your berries, your nuts, your seeds, even protein powder to it, for example. That's fantastic to eat to help you with training, or even with a normal work day. Bearing in mind, when you're training, you are burning a lot of calories. So you might literally need to eat more. Your meals might become bigger. You're going to be more hungry because you're burning so many more calories. So that's something to look out for as well.
Yeah, don't feel guilty about that massive bowl of pasta. That is my message to myself.
Exactly.
Yeah, and protein then. And what are some of the best sources? Because protein helps us recover, right, after our training.
Yes, and protein is important for building muscle. It's important for so many functions in our body. But I think there's a lot of confusion around protein. Now, what a lot of people aren't eating enough of is a lot of plant protein. So you obviously can get protein from animal products, but we need to be really mindful because they can be high in saturated fat, cholesterol, and we know we need to reduce those as well. And a lot of people are forgetting we can get protein from plants as well. And this protein is going to be full of fiber, feed our good gut bacteria, help reduce recovery time as well. That can be things like our beans and our lentils, very, very important. Also got complex carbohydrates in there, but also things like our tofu and our tempeh, which you can get pre-marinated in the supermarkets. These are fantastic sources of protein that are excellent for the body, that we want to have a little bit more of as well. A lot of people are just not having enough, and that can be fantastic for our training.
And just before we do a workout, if we're feeling a little bit sluggish and we need a bit of energy, is there anything natural that we can have a little snack of before we get training to give us a bit of a boost?
Yes, there's lots of things that we can have before training. I mean, I'd also say make sure you're hydrated. That's going to affect your energy as well. So, making sure you are drinking enough water throughout the day, have that bottle with you. But a really good pre-workout food could be a lovely piece of sourdough bread with a bit of, any kind of nut butter. Could be peanut butter, almond butter. Variety is excellent, with a banana on top or something.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Ooh.
That's going to really, really help our muscles. It's going to have micronutrients. We've got complex carbs in there. Really, really fantastic. And then you can have whatever you want after as well.
You're talking my language, Vanessa. Thank you so, so much. That's Vanessa Sternham, a health and wellness coach.